Many pianists wonder why their chords sometimes sound very tense and harsh, particularly when they're playing forte. And usually the reason for that is because they're pressing quite hard into the keys with a tense wrist and a tense elbow. So here I'm going to talk quite a lot about cantabile chords, about how we play with a really warm sound with the minimum of effort. We're going to be talking about using gravity to just drop into the keys rather than pushing. And this will give a much softer impact on the keys, which will mean we'll avoid that noise that you get when you really push into the keys and give a beautiful, warm, rich sound. And for pianists, particularly who have small or average-sized hands, we're going to talk quite a lot about how to release tension between chords so you don't build up tension and become fatigued or even end up in pain. When you first introduce chords to a beginner, I find it's much better to introduce just an open fifth using the thumb and fifth finger rather than try and play a three-note triad. And the reason for that is because the thumb and the fifth finger are much more anatomically independent of each other and of the fingers. So students usually find it's much easier to coordinate those two fingers together. A beginner may well find it's quite hard to just play 1, 3, and 5. And in the effort to put down the third but not to put down the fourth, they may end up starting to lift the 2 and 4 in that way, or really press with the third, or start to become very tense in the wrist. So I like to start with just teaching a parachute touch onto a fifth in that way. Now, just to remind you, I'll just run through very quickly the technique for the parachute touch. You can start by doing a very loose swing, which is a great warm-up for doing the parachute touch. Okay? Then you just imagine that the hand is a hot air balloon. It just floats up into the air. Remember that you're looking for the hand being very relaxed when it gets to the top. And then it just parachutes down very gradually. And you do that quite a few times with your breath, breathing in, breathing out, in, out. And then just start to minimize the movement until it's a round piano playing area. So what we're using here is gravity, just letting the hand drop down with gravity. You can drop onto your knee, you can drop onto the piano lid, and then you can just drop onto a fifth. And then you can start to move around, do it as a Scalic sort of passage. And the other advantage of just playing at a fifth is that you're not trying to stretch out into bigger intervals. I avoid that until hands are really big enough to do it, because inevitably when you're opening out the hand, there does develop a little bit more tension across the hand. So what we're trying to learn first is a really comfortable just chord technique, which is within the natural compass of the hand, which for most people is a fifth. If you've got somebody with very big hands, you know, an adult beginner, then they might prefer to start at a sixth. That's absolutely fine. And of course, don't forget the black notes. So you could just do it in this way. And that's a great way to start introducing some improvisation. They could play that drone in the left hand with F sharp and C sharp, and then just make up a tune in the right hand on black notes. And if they want, they can add pedal to it and it'll sound beautiful. And this drone idea, you can use it in the Big Ben tune where I add in the drone. And so on. Other great pieces for using a drone for the fifth is the Grieg Wedding Day at Trollhaugen, and Bartók Ostinato from Mikrokosmos all use that lovely fifth drone.